Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Saturday night Vobes show, an impromptu Vobes show tonight. Actually, this chair is just a tad too tall. There we go. A Saturday night phone-in show. No videos, no co-hosts. Well, unless somebody wants to webcast themselves in. But I just thought what would be quite nice every now and again is just to do an impromptu show. People don't know it's necessarily going to happen. Some people will be very annoyed that I've done that because they'll kick themselves that they missed it because they weren't advised that it was going to happen. But a less I don't know what high energetic, nutty, silly sort of stove. This is just a chat. A sort of a chat between you and me about subjects of which you may or may not have an opinion, and that we can air them between the two of us. This isn't us sharing videos on this, that and the other and all of that. That we'll go back to that on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. And this isn't necessarily going to be a regular feature. I mean, it may be regular that not regular, but it may be spontaneous. It may be regular that I do spontaneous shows as and when. But the brutal honesty was I was sitting at home thinking I'm trying not to look too much at YouTube videos, and I've been doing some reading, and I'm probably only going to end up sitting there by the fire getting bored. And I thought, why don't I do a show? Why don't I have some company? I can't go down the pub. I can't go and see anybody. And I've had a very busy day, and I thought this is a lovely way to relax with some friends. Now, I noticed a number of people saying Mr. Workaholic, and that may be true, but this is what I enjoy doing. So why not have some enjoyment at the same time? So now a show like this, you've got to have something to talk about. So I have got here some headlines from the news. Now, we don't have to talk about this. We can talk about whatever you like. It's entirely up to you. But I just thought I'd go through some of the headlines. Now, when I used to do the old Vogue show in years gone by, I always found that a great source of content to either go with, go against, laugh at, or whatever was, of course, the Daily Mail. It's one of those newspapers in which it's outrageous sometimes. There's sometimes an element of truth. There's sometimes wild speculation about stuff. But it's a great source of getting a conversation going. So I don't subscribe to it. I very rarely ever look at it. I don't think the last time I looked at the Daily Mail online, which I have here, was when I did the last Vobes show, which was the podcast, which must be some 10 years ago now. So, that's what it is. So a few hellos. Let's say hello to lovely Julia, who I quickly rang beforehand, said, hey, I'm thinking of doing a show. And she said, oh, no. She said, does that mean I've got to moderate it? I said, no, you don't have to moderate it. It's just an impromptu show. I'm going to be a chat. She says, you're mad, Mr. Vobes. I said, yes, I know. I am mad. Andy Stacey, good evening to you. Skillet, Mark Burgess, Gary Welsh, Audrey Forbes, Penny Tyndall, nice to see you. Ed Loud, Ron Moon, Conjure, Jeffrey Harrison, Skillet. I mean, what? Surely you lot have got something better to do than to tune in to me. I mean, this was also quite curious to see if people would, I assumed people would be going, oh my God, not him again. Where did we get to? Mark Donny McLeod, Justin Jones, Elf Wolf, Phil Carter, Michael White, I said Mark Donny McLeod, Mike Stevens, Elfwold, I think I said Anna Jones. He puts on a brave face, but I think Eric is secretly... Do you know, Eric I'm a glove puppet. That's what I am. I've just hung up at the end of yesterday's show, I hang up the skin of the Vobes, and Eric has just sneakily stuck his hand with the various poles and is manipulating me. That's how it works. Penny says, I'm working on 3 iPads and I need a break. Blimey, working on 3 iPads, what do you do that needs 3? You just need one proper decent machine instead of 3 half good. I'm not an iPad fan, so that's why I'm a bit derisory, I suppose. Double mention, says Mark Donny McLeod. Yes, sorry about that. There's no cash favours for a double mention, by the way. I was waiting for a rocket launch, says... Well, I hope the rocket does launch. Penny Tyndall says they're not hers. All right, fair enough. Red Moon says, I was proofreading sound air engineering uni assignments, but now it's how easy people are diverted from much more studious things. How easy is it to become diverted? Karloff or Lurgos, I'm watching The Black Cat, says Mike Stevens. I don't know what that means, but it sounds curious. Mark Donny McLeod says, damn, about the rocket, I assume. And John B says, if we can get Richard presenting GMB, Good Morning Britain, in place of Piers Morgan, then we need to get Julia replacing Susanna Reid. There we go. That would be marvellous jobs for the pair of us. If only we could do it from a Worthing-based studio. But it would be nice to have a bigger studio with staff rather than, having to, as I do, scurry underneath the desk, trying to avoid Eric and his pole manipulation to switch on the computer and turn on the lights and all of that. It would be nice if other people, did all that and somebody was there to powder my nose as they did on the TV. Elfwald was wondering whether to plaster a bit of my bedroom won't be bothering. Easy excuse. You could be plastering at the same time or getting plastered. Watching you on my new TV, says Justine Jones. 55 inches, don't you know? Well, a lady likes to boast. Mike Stevens says, not Lesbos, but Bella Lugosi, whoever the hell that is. I remember Bella, who was it? Bella Romberg. Bella Romberg? Was it who used to work with Russ Abbott? What was her? Bella Emberg. She was funny, wasn't she? She was that big woman. Yeah, she was great. I don't know who your Bella Loosberg, whatever her name is. Darren Howell says, sorry, I'm late, Vobes. There's no being late about it. That's a swanky Dusty. Oh, yes, for Susanna Reid. Not my cup of tea, I'm pleased to say. Can't believe it's Monday already, says Jeffrey. Yes, it is. We're just having a conversation. So it's a phone-in. If you want to call in, I want to talk to people on this. So I don't want to be giving a monologue. I mean, I'm happily to read out your things, but it'd be nice to have a conversation about this, that and the other. So just having a quick look on some of the things that we could have a conversation about what's in the news. Let's have a look and see what's on the news feed at the moment. So here we go. This is, as I say, the Mail Online, which gives us just something to talk about, doesn't it? Harry and Meghan, the inconvenient truth. A dossier reveals many explosive claims which rocked the royal family were contradictory or wrong. So will CBS, whoever they are, and Oprah Winfrey now investigate a true story? Who knows? Met police officer Wayne Couzens has been charged for the kidnap and of marketing executive Sarah Everard, who disappeared. That was a dreadful story. There was a story here about the barbarity that shames the RAF, sickening video of 28-pound mortar barrel being used on naked young recruit in initiation ceremony. I mean, I just love the Mail for their headlines, because you don't really need to read the story. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's popularity falls to lowest ever level after Oprah interview. Well, that doesn't surprise me. If you're going to slag off the royals in this country, what do you expect? BAME leaders say the royals are not racist. Quite right. And it's good to have that. So, well, Piers Morgan quits. Yeah, well, whatever. This is a peculiar one. This woman from the Green Party, one in the Lords, she says men just don't understand the pressure that women are under. Green Party's Baroness Jones doubles down on her call for a 6 p.m. curfew for men. I mean, how workable is that, even if it was a sensible operation? What does she mean, doubles down on it? What about if there's a fire? Do you not need firemen, or will it only be fire women out? And what about policemen? Will it only be police women out? London's corona outbreak is rapidly shrinking. All but one borough saw infection rates drop last week, with some parts of the capital seeing falls by half. Yes, I mean, we're still in lockdown. Countdown to the year of lockdown. On this day in 2020, friends partied at Cheltenham. Did they? So that was a year ago. And Wales bans English holidaymakers. First Minister Mark Drakeford lifts tourism ban on March the 27, but insists only Welsh people can stay in holiday lets. Well, there we are. There's a few things that you might want to talk about. Let's get back to the studio here. What do you think about any of that? Is any of that of interest? Do you want to talk about that? Do you want? Have got things to get off your chest? If you haven't, I'll just switch off the show and go and have a lie down in a darkened room and talk to myself. I can put I can look at myself in the mirror and have a good old chinwag. You see. So yeah, the object of this is not for me just to be sitting here and gabbling all evening. I'd like a little bit of company. If you want to join me by webcam. You can. We have a special facility. You saw how the lovely Julia joins me. We can do that as well. But we do have a phone call, so hang on. I need to put my headphones on. Just bear with me, caller. I'm just putting my headphones on. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Vobesy. Ed Loud here.
Hello, Ed. How the devil are you?
Oh, still round and squidgy. Hope you're well.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Very kind of you to ask. So, is there anything burning on your mind this evening?
Well, I had 1,000,001 things, but since I've got the IQ of a cabbage, I forgot them all. But I was very pleased to see some good news about London for a change.
Yes, that is good news, isn't it? It's going down. And it doesn't surprise me, really, that it's going down. I mean, firstly, we've vaccinated a lot of people. I don't know. Is London and does London have a large consortment of elderly people?
I think the suburbs do. So sort of not the city itself, but places like where I live, like Greenwich, there's lots of elderly people around.
Right. So that would. I mean, so you know the prevalence of the virus then is clearly going down because the elderly people have been vaccinated against it. And the other thing is, of course, London suffered pretty badly in March last year. And so presumably those people who did have it and survived, which would have been most of them, won't get it anyway because they've had it.
Yes, true. And also I think the genuine Londoners deserve some credit because the majority of people have not been doing what the scaremongering media seems to suggest, all breaking lockdown and hanging around in parks and things. Most people have genuinely been sticking to it. And I've noticed there's a lot of outsiders coming in as tourists from around the counties around London that were sort of giving Londoners a bad name.
Yes.
And a lot of students who come from outside London who were still in London at the time. And gradually the novelties were worn off. And there's a lot of bad apples everywhere, all over the country.
Well, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, I've genuinely been defending London all throughout this because on social media and things, it just seems like when anything goes wrong, it's very quick and easy to blame London. And,
yes. Well, I suppose it's the capital, isn't it? And so, you look to the capital. I don't know how true this is. I'm just about to say something which sounds philosophically accurate, but has actually got no basis whatsoever. But I would imagine that you look to the capital as being like you look to your elder brother, as somebody who you admire and you're going to copy, unless your elder brother is a complete and utter catastrophe, in which case you probably wouldn't. But, I assume that other cities will gauge how is London dealing with stuff because that's how we want to aspire to it.
Yeah, to a point. And I just think as humans, we always root for the underdog as a rule. And the biggest, most powerful bully in the playground is the sort of one that we will point the finger at. And it works in all walks of life. If you look at geopolitics, people are very quick to protest against a big, powerful country like America.
Yes.
But when another country does exactly the same thing, there's not many protesters out. So genuinely, I do find that with, if something might be going bad in London, well, maybe just London fell first. And, give your county a month, 6 weeks. The same problem will probably hit your county if you're in a town or a built-up area of any kind. So, I don't know. I never used to defend London much. I've always sort of fallen in love with the country and the Romney Marshes for my own part. And, it's a strange thing for me to defend London, but it's really lovely to see some good news, no matter how small it is.
Absolutely. Well, this is, I mean, you definitely need some good news. Some better
Yeah.
news would be if in the, I don't know, is the mayor elections happening in London? It would be nice to get a new mayor.
Oh, I've heard about it, but I've really not been watching the news for the last, I don't know, the last 6 months. I've really, I see things people send me, people might send me a link and, oh, Ed, look at this. And it's just all doom and gloom. So I've really switched off. Sometimes my only contact with the outside world is sort of people from the Bald Explorer group and
Oh, that's
my
nice.
brother and my partner, and that's about it, So, and not because there's anything particularly wrong with me, just I can't be doing with it. It's nice to switch off,
Yes.
But yeah, in other good news, I've survived the COVID jab without turning into a Borg.
And when they give you the jab, do they give you a date for the second one, or is that in abeyance? Do you know when that is?
Yeah, there's no date that's been given.
Right.
Apparently they contacted me quite a while ago to get my jab done, and I never responded.
No, I don't want to spit venom on this whole jab thing, but I think it's sometimes it's worth doing that. No, I don't mean that. But I was watching. People send me stuff all the time, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And somebody sent me this thing that was talking about the vaccine and said it's the vaccine. It may well be fine, as it's all tested and everything else. And I'm not saying anything against the vaccine, but they were saying their point was that what's the when you get an infection and you go to the doctor and he puts you on a course of antibiotics. Thank you, I got it. Thank you. I was just asking my own brain then. He says, like antibiotics, you've got to finish the course. And one of the problems is that the recommended thing about the vaccine course is this 3-week gap. That was originally what they reckon was the proper length of time. But the government have decided, no, it'll be about 12 weeks or whatever it is. And so you don't know when you're getting the next part. But you've got to have the next part because this guy was saying, it said Dr. So-and-so, and I don't know. I mean, and I'm not saying this is true or anything. It's just what I watched. But it was an interesting observation, which is why I'm sharing it. And you can poo-poo it, and it may be worth poo-pooing. I'm not saying, because I don't necessarily believe everything that I hear, especially what comes out of my mouth. But he was saying you've got to finish it because, like antibiotics, you get better quite quickly, and you think, well, I don't need to take the rest of these. And the whole point is you do need to take the rest of them because your immune system needs to have that full dosage in order to be able to work. Because otherwise, it's actually you're doing. I can't remember. He explained it so much better, but basically, you're putting yourself into jeopardy for further down the line if you don't have the full course. And,
yes,
and it's the same with the vaccine. That's why I'm curious about when.
I think I know what you're saying there, and I was a bit dubious about that myself, and just thought, are they trying? But are they trying to do something sinister? But I did look into it a bit more.
I wouldn't say it was sinister. I don't think it's that. I just think.
Not directly sinister, but with a sinister outcome that you're not getting the full dose or you're not getting the full protection.
I think it's more.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy wasn't saying that. He wasn't saying that it was anything was done. It was just you've got to have the second thing, and the sooner you have it, the better. Because all the time you haven't had the second one, you are susceptible for these variants getting stronger. And so,
the first dose will reduce the chance of catching any of the related COVID-19 infections, viruses. But obviously, you need both doses to get as much protection as possible.
Yes.
But no vaccine will give you 100% protection. So it's a matter of percentages. I'm not sure what the percentages are for this vaccine, but I would imagine the first dose might give you 70% protection.
Yes.
And I think what the government are trying to do, rightly or wrongly, and I'm a bit dubious, I think they're probably trying to get as many people with that first hit of protection.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's that's the reason they've gone for the...
It's a bit different to antibiotics, whereby with antibiotics, what the antibiotics are helping your body fight is already in your body, affecting you.
Yes.
So you might get rid of 90% of it, and you've still got that little bit of it left in your body. And like my sourdough, it'll just grow back.
Yeah,
so
I absolutely. And I'm not saying it's like antibiotics. He was just using that as an aid to explain how with antibiotics you have to finish the course. And he's saying that with the vaccine, you must make sure that you get the second lot, because if and don't leave it too long. Although I just saw there somebody said up to the company that said it was up to 16 weeks. But then I saw something else, and I don't want to linger on. I don't want to be one of these vaccine denier things, or conspiracy. But somebody else was saying that if they don't give you the vaccines within a certain time frame, that vaccines break down. They're only as good for a certain time in the little bottle since manufacture. It's like when food goes off, and it can go off. And if you don't get it quick enough, what they put into your body basically is nothing of any use. And so you go away thinking, well, I'm vaccinated, and this is one of the problems with the because it's got a shelf life. It's all the logistics that they're trying to make sure, but we just know that nothing ever goes smoothly. It may look like it's going smoothly, but we always know that you're going to get the odd this, that, and the other.
I had an interesting experience. I think it was on Wednesday. Don't quote me on that.
I won't. It was on Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday, yes.
Ed said it was on... I'm sorry, I've quoted you now. You quoted yourself.
I was passing the bus stop across the road from where I live, and there was two people there, drinking rather cheap, nasty-looking beer out of a can.
Yes.
And,
are you passing judgment on that?
I don't wish to prejudge people, but...
You just have.
This particular person was saying that, the vaccine's a load of nonsense. You're putting it into your body. Who knows what the side effects are, and going to do all this nasty stuff to you. And I thought, well, you're sitting there drinking beer. I wake up in the morning and I have coffee. I walk past the South Circular and ingest fumes. If I was that worried about what I'm putting in my body, the vaccine would be the last of my concerns.
Yes. I suppose it's personal choice. He wants to drink methylated spirits and finish himself off, and then worry about what's in the vaccine, which has gone through a whole load of rigid things. I understand.
Quite humorous, to be fair.
Yes, the juxtaposition.
All the things I do in my body, eating saturated fats and drinking beer and things. The vaccine was the last of my concerns. So I thought, go and get it done, and if it does me some good, great.
So
and if it doesn't,
do you think? Here's a question, then. I mean, you've raised this, and this is why I like these sort of debates. Do you think then that this is an attitude that you've just aired? That some people will think, do you know what, actually, if we look at it on paper, if you stay fit, eat good food, stop smoking, don't take sugar, exercise regularly, do everything to your body to keep yourself as healthy as you can, try to, not breathe in too many diesel particulates and do all of that. If you did all that, you probably wouldn't need a vaccine. But is vaccines, not necessarily for COVID, but for anything, the flu jab, for anything, are these sort of excuses that people can say, do you know what, I don't have to be fit anymore, because it was overweight people who are dying with younger and overweight people who are more susceptible, as well as the old people who you can't help being old. That's something that we have no control of. But you can help necessarily eating the wrong foods and, as you say, putting all these things and not doing any exercise and all the rest of it. So is taking the vaccine, or is it that same thing about, well, I've had the pill, so I don't need to bother about looking after myself?
I wouldn't put my name to something quite that
isn't that what
worded
you just
that way? But
is that not what you just said about
people
saturated?
People should be encouraged to take care of their health and things.
Yes, but didn't you just say just now that? But hang on, didn't you just say that it was the last? The vaccine was the last of the things that you were worried about because you're having lots of, beers and saturated fats and all those things. In other words, non-healthy foods.
Well, I just thought it was rather ironic, really, that somebody was ingesting something that clearly wasn't good for them.
Yes.
And
but wouldn't have
they're sort of preaching to this other person that they shouldn't have the jab. And I just sort of chuckled quite wryly and walked on my way home and thought nothing else of it. But then the next day when I was going for my jab, I just thought that's the... if I was that frightened of the jab, I wouldn't drink alcohol. I wouldn't eat all them saturated fats. I'd probably be about 4 stone lighter. I just love the irony of it and the juxtaposition of this guy. Swigging beer.
I've got that. I've absolutely got that. I understand that. But do you think it's possible that some people will think, well, if I looked after myself, I would be a healthier person, but I don't have to bother to look after myself because I can take a pill or have an injection?
It wouldn't surprise me if there were a few bad eggs that thought like that. But at the same time, I'm glad we have all these vaccinations and things because a lot of people are very vulnerable who know. I'm not talking about people who are vulnerable, and I'm not saying they have to be bad eggs. It's just some people who do everything to stay healthy can easily, have, they can have a brain hemorrhage and things like that, all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. But just looking after yourself, if nothing else, has not this last year told us that if you can avoid being vulnerable, other than age, it's a good idea. Yes, definitely. 100% agree with that. If you can avoid it,
so in other words, part of the message coming from the government would have been much better. Do you not agree, or do you disagree? If the government had said, look, what we want you to do is we encourage you to have the exercise instead of making out that it was a thing that we reluctantly give you permission to do. Get out in the sunshine, eat good fresh vegetables, have lots of social intercourse, but from a respectable distance because that's good for your mind, being able to chat to people. Don't sit in front of rooms breathing stale air in front of screens all day. That can't be good for you. And eat sensibly and try not to drink and, get people who are not trapped in bad family relations and things.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. I would not at all say all that in replacement of going out and the message of, getting the vaccine and things like that. I think we're in a very extraordinary situation with the vaccine and what's come along and all that kind of stuff. But definitely that message is true. And I've always advocated things like that being taught in school to a much greater level. Things like cooking and eating well and just managing a home, budgeting.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that.
I think they used to be called home economics, didn't they?
Yes, I did home economics.
Bring them back. That should be taking up far more school time than learning Pythagoras' theorem.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I mean, I never used Pythagoras' theorem in my life. I've never had to quote Shakespeare. I'm sure it's fun. I enjoy Shakespeare, but I've never had to quote it in my working life. My school days could have been far better spent. But, I think we've brought up a lot of interesting points there. So
fantastic. Well, thank you for that.
I've got the feeling there'll be a lot of interesting comments. So I'll make way for someone else to call in.
You're a star.
I'll read the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. You started it all off. Thank you so much for that, Ed.
Okay, take care, Richard, and take care all the viewers out there.
Take care. Right. Okie dokie. Thanks for that interesting take there. From Ed Loud in Greenwich. Now, I haven't actually set up, and this is why I'm just slightly preoccupied. I'm just setting up myself because Sean says, how do we video ourselves in? And I just need to set that up, which I'm doing because I wasn't sure that I was going to do a show or anything, but I am going to try and get this up and running. I just need to do a few bits and bobs. So, Sean, I'm going to post in the thing. Hang on, I've just got to make sure I get the right one. This is the link. This is the public link, and this is the non-obs. Yes, okay. So let me copy that. And where are you? You're down here. So, Sean, I'm posting in. So, if you want to join me, don't all do this. Please don't just do this randomly. If you want to join in, do the @the Show. It'll highlight, then I can see it, and then I'll know. But you use the link that I'm just posting to access. I hope that works. If it doesn't work, let me know. And then I should see you in the control room, and I can add you to the conversation, and you can have a conversation with me. And we'll see how we go. Kerry Baldwin says, hello, wasn't expecting this. Thought it was a Saturday night. It is a Saturday night, and I just thought I would do an impromptu thing. Sean has arrived. Let's add him to the scene. And let's... I'm going to add you too. Now, just for a moment, Sean, you're going to be called Julia. But I'm going to take off.
I haven't done my hair.
It's a shame. Hello to you.
Hello. I just wanted to know whether you'd seen and your thoughts on what Baroness Jenny Jones said this week. That
this is about that all men should be quarantined, not left at home after 6, stayed at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody on the allotment today, and yes, the events of what happened in Clapham are extremely sad, and it's shocking that there's a policeman involved. But when I walk down the street, if I see a gang of 6 or 7 guys, I'll make an excuse to cross over.
Yes, absolutely.
And quite a few people on the allotment said they do the same as well.
Yes, I mean, it's the same old thing like with the coronavirus. I don't mean to go back to that, but if you see someone who's got a cold and they're sneezing, generally things you want to avoid, you just avoid, don't you?
Yes, and it's like I wouldn't go and walk the streets at 12:30 in the night. Maybe in Wales I would have done it, but I wouldn't do it in sort of in this area, because I accept that even though this area is a nice area, after dark it's a bit of a different place, and therefore you stay in.
I mean, here we are we're in March, aren't we? And I mean, I was doing my reading show, which went from 4 to 5. Well, in the winter at 5 o'clock, I would finish that show, and it would be dark, and I wouldn't even at 5 o'clock. I would be slightly hesitant about walking anywhere that I don't know. At that time, and that's at 5 in the evening or in the afternoon, because it's dark. Now, of course, at 5 o'clock, I'd be happy to go down to the town and go on the pier and whatever, because it's light. I mean, as soon as the darkness comes, I'm always a bit nervous, because you just don't know who's lurking behind things. And
I live next door to a park, and the amount of people that I see walk through the park as dusk comes, like tonight I noticed it was about 6:30, and they've got headphones on. Now, if I'm approaching a park, or I've got to walk through the park to get home, I'll take the headphones out, or I'll keep them in, but I'll switch the music off.
Right, so you're aware.
Now, somebody did get attacked on the allotment site. Their 16-year-old daughter got attacked, and we were asking her questions. Did you hear somebody come up behind you? And she said, oh no, I had the music on.
Yes, I suppose it makes you feel a bit safer, doesn't it? Because you're locked in this world. But of course, reality is that you're not any safer. You're actually less safe because you're unaware of what's around you.
There's only one time in London where I felt if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen at this moment in time. And I had my headphones in. And I just observed that these 2 guys who were walking across the street, one walked behind me, and the other one walked in front of me, and I suddenly realized, right, there's an ambush about to happen here. But I'd seen something that a comedian had said 3 days earlier, in fact. If you act madder than who they are, they'll back off. So as soon as I felt them get close, I just went, I told her she shouldn't have built that brick wall. That brick wall was too high. And I saw in their eyes, they were more scared of me than I was of them.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think also the unexpected. I think the madness thing, or collapsing on the ground and things like that, which suddenly draw huge attention to the situation, will most likely diffuse it.
But I've seen a bit of the news tonight, but I haven't seen it all. So I'm just basing this on what I've seen for a few seconds. But Clapham Common tonight, there appears to be hundreds, possibly thousands of people there,
Yes.
all stood next door to each other.
But aren't
Now,
they? Is they they're having a vigil? Is that tonight?
officially it's been cancelled, but
Yes.
people have still turned up.
Yes.
And it's like, well, on that basis and of what we've been told, could coronavirus have a spike in a fortnight?
No, it's not going to happen.
You know?
The thing that this whole business about this poor woman who was kidnapped and murdered. I mean, the thing that nobody seems to be incredibly outraged is that it was a policeman. It's just men they're talking about. Men are the problem. Men are the problem. And yet the one type of men who you think that you are supposed to be able to go to and feel safe with is a policeman. And he was and not only that, he was a policeman who had been trained and was able to carry a gun. And
well, my flatmate said to me, he's convinced that this policeman was actually the policeman that came and did an incident with us about 3 months ago.
oh, really?
Because we had a neighbour who turned up at about 9:30 in the morning, just listened to the Naked Englishman podcast, having my breakfast.
Yes.
As a knock at the door, there's a woman stood there in our porch with the door closed, which I thought was a bit odd to begin with. And I said to her, "Excuse me, can you go outside?" And she said, "No, I'm fine here." She said, "I've come to complain about your bins." So I said, "Well, you need to speak to the landlord, and he isn't here." And she just said, "I warn you. This is a friendly warning." So I called somebody else downstairs. I said, "I'm listening to the Richard Vobes here. Can you sort out this woman?"
Got to get your priorities right.
And the same conversation, "This is a warning before I go to the council." The next thing...
Have you ever seen her before?
No.
Oh.
The next thing, we've discovered where she lives now, about 6 doors away. The next thing, she grabs my flatmate by, the coattails,
Yes.
pulls him onto the floor. I'm on the phone to the police. I then go and see what's going on. At this time, they've gone outside. She's run off, and he's closed the gate, going, "No, you're not going to leave. You're staying until the police come." All of a sudden, the situation changed. All the people in the park came, and they automatically assumed he had beaten her up and that he was holding her hostage. And then the police came, and he's convinced one of the policemen, because we had about 8 policemen turn up, he's convinced one of these policemen was this guy.
Oh, right.
But it was interesting how people's perceptions were very quick to go down the road of, it's the man attacking the woman, not the woman attacking the man.
Yes, and you can understand that. You can understand that because that's more likely to be the way it is. Although I don't know what the percentages are, but it's rarer, isn't it, that the woman is attacking the man in public anyway.
Well, this is how I come to London. My friend was being beaten up by his girlfriend. And it was so severe where they'd be driving down the motorway and she'd try and pull the wheel and pull the car off the side of the road. The police would turn up, and just before they did, she would bang herself against the door. He was the one that was sent off to the police station.
Right.
And this went on for months and months and months.
Yes.
And she only got caught because she did it down the seaside. And there was a CCTV camera that she wasn't aware of.
There you go. See, it gets you in. It does get you in the end. Well,
But let's just quickly go back to this thing. But this 6 o'clock thing, she's completely ruined her reputation as far as I'm concerned. That she's come up with something that's so ridiculous. If it's just to get the headlines, then I'm not surprised why there's only one Green Party person in the House of Lords.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's barking. I mean, it's totally barking, but then they are a bit barking, aren't they? So, I mean, the thing that I always think with a lot of these things is, why are we even talking about it? Because it is so stupid that we're wasting our breath, because it won't happen, couldn't happen. And this Welsh bloke who's trying to sort of get the, whatever his name is in Wales, who's thinking of doing it. I mean, but the worrying thing is that all these things that we thought are stupid yesterday as Douglas Murray would say, that today it's all new and questionable. So everything that we ever thought that was true, like genders, whether whether you were born, if you've got testicles and a willy, you're a man, that we all knew what that meant yesterday, but all of a sudden today, it's questionable, and yet we even give people. This is what I don't understand. We even give them, we take them seriously. I don't understand why we just, those people who go, oh well, it's all gender fluid, and I'm going to be this, that, and why we just laugh at them and go, this is, same with the council.
I had a
culture.
I had a friend in the 90s who was born a boy, then said he was a female, so had the operation, then realized a few years later that he was probably just a cross-dresser, and then tried to reverse the process, and in the end he was found hanging from a bridge in Cardiff.
Is that what happens when you reverse the process? You accidentally get slung up.
Well, the family thought they had gone to the realignment far too quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about this subject, but I think now that it's quite a few years process.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some people who obviously are going to feel this so importantly, but it's become so fashionable now, but it's and I'm not specifically, I pulled that out as an example, but to me, it's very strange how we're in a culture where we just accept whatever anybody says, no matter what it is, and without, whereas 25 years ago, you would have just laughed at someone who came out and said, oh, we're going to, there's an idea that we'll ban men from the streets. You just go, oh, don't be silly. And that would be it. That would be, that would have been enough. Someone would have said something like that. Oh, well, it is possible from a man to call himself a woman. And people would have just simply said, oh, don't be silly. And that would have been it, because it was just too laughable.
Raise the question. I was thinking about this while I was in the green room, waiting to come in.
Yeah, all of 2 seconds. I got you in there very quickly, matey.
But I thought maybe there should be a campaign. There's too many men who phone into this show. Let's have a listen to what the women.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Sean.
Oh, thank you and good night.
Good night. Yeah, see if we can get a woman.
I'll go and get this. I'll go and get this mark off now.
Yes, that's it. I'll switch you off there, so to speak. But brilliant. Thank you very much. That was Sean James Cameron. And if you want to be part of the show, let me know. Do an @ Vobes, and it should come up, and then we'll put the link in. I'll put the link one more time if anybody fancies being part of it and joining the conversation. Here we go. There is the link in the thing. You just need to follow the instructions as they come up. You can do it on a laptop or on a phone, and you can be part of the conversation. It's all good fun. So, yeah, I just don't understand how these things... The cancel culture is another thing that you just let... I mean, if they... People on Twitter, this is this bizarre thing. I find this quite laughable. If everybody gangs up on you on Twitter, well, if you're not on Twitter, you wouldn't know they're ganging up on you. And then how can you get cancelled if you don't know they're there? I mean, they're all ethereal because they're not real, are they? I'd be fascinated to know. Would a man who calls himself a woman be banned from the streets after 6? Says Paul Cockrell. Well, there we are. Suddenly, you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's a genius, because suddenly all men, if that became law, would then go, but I'm a woman. I identify as a woman. And that would be my reason to do it. To say, yeah, ban all men after 6, so we can all say we're a woman, and therefore it would just make the whole thing so laughable that you couldn't just gender reassign. I mean, it is a bit bonkers. I cancelled Twitter. Absolutely. Now, there we are. I think Penny's got the right idea. Cancel Twitter so they can't do any of this. But is it just me that wonders why it is that things that seem to be solid and had been taken as read for generations, that suddenly now we take seriously, and we sit down and we go, oh my goodness, we question all these things that were rock solid for so many years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, maybe it isn't, and and feelings are everything, and you've got to have quotas for the number of people achieving things on their own merit isn't enough. You've got to have the diversity of everything. We just must have enough of this nationality, this nationality, this nationality, this nationality, and this. Never mind how good or bad they are, because otherwise we won't look good. I mean, don't understand. If you want to join the conversation, you can give us a ring on 0793 4746 790, or you can ping yourself in on video by using the link that I've shoved up a few seconds ago and join the debate. Let's go and have a look and see what other... Has anybody got anything they want to talk about the Harry and Meghan situation? Are you somebody who is a Republican and wants nothing to do with the royal family and would like to see it go? Or are you somebody that wants to keep the royal family? What do you think will happen when the dear old Queen goes and we end up with Charles? Will he be a great king, or do you think he will just be a stand-in until Andrew comes along? I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. We've spoken about the Everard case, and what else have we got? We don't want to talk about Piers Morgan if we can help it. The Baroness Jones, we've spoken about. London being let's put these pictures up here. London being low in coronavirus, we've spoken about, so that's great. So that's nice. What else have we got here? Wales bans. Not sure about the Great Ormond Street porter, 55, admits total of 69 sex attacks on 8 children. 35-year reign of terror after he lured them to hospital with the promise of work experience. He lured children to hospital. I haven't read the thing. Drivers search for British woman 41. Here we go, another one. Missing for 4 days in Caribbean after boyfriend tells the police she may have fallen from their catamaran. I'm sorry, what did you say? The boyfriend says, oh, my girlfriend has gone missing, and she may have fallen from the catamaran. What do you mean may have fallen? I mean, surely you would know. Would you not know that? If somebody had fallen from the catamaran, would you not? Well, she got on the boat when we left the harbour, and when we got back to the harbour, she wasn't there. I didn't really see her because I was doing a bit of fishing, or I was steering, or I was looking at the dolphins and stuff. So I don't really talk to my girlfriend. And then when we got back, we just thought, well, hang on, there's somebody missing. So she may have fallen overboard, or perhaps she just, dematerialised like people do. I don't know. I don't know how that works. So if maybe you've got something that you want to say something about that, do give us a call. And what else? Other news stories? Have we got other things in there? Police try to shut down protest. Formula One commentator Murray Walker dies 97. I mean, I don't really know about Formula One, or indeed, I know Murray Walker was the guy who used to do the commentary, but that's about as much as I know. What about the SNP and the Queen of Scotland, whatever her name is? I've forgotten her name now. I can't bear the woman. She's seems to have been in the news a lot with all their dodgy dealings going on. Have you got any thought? Nicola Sturgeon, there we go. Eases lockdown. At least she's doing something, that is to deflect, because she wants to lock everything down. But haven't they passed, am I right in thinking that they have passed legislation in Scotland now to ban free speech, so that if you're sitting round in a party and somebody says something you disagree with and you're going to take exception to, you can actually ring the police, and that person who said something to you can be arrested, that you no longer have free speech in your own house. That seems to be something that came up on my radar. Has anybody got anything to say about that? John B says, praise the Lord for Richard's impromptu show this evening. Well, I hope it's been entertaining. I'm trying to get more people to come on and talk to me rather than me do a thing. Michael White says she did a Maxwell. Yes, she may have fallen. I know, she may have fallen. It's just, I mean, I don't know the story. I just saw that as the headline. That is incredible. Audrey Forbes say the same about Natalie Wood, what she may have fallen. Queen of Scotland is called Elizabeth, says Ed Loud, LOL. Yes, we're not talking about the real Queen. We're talking about the one who thinks she's the Queen. And Ed Wolf says Gentleman Jock. I'm not sure what that is. Julia says, can you pin the link comment? Oh, yes, I probably could. Hang on a minute. Let's paste that. And how do I... Let's see if I can link it. Where is it? Pin the message. Is it pinned? I need live chat. I've got the wrong chat up. It should be pinned. There we go. If you fancy jumping in and you've got a laptop or a tablet with a camera on, or even if you haven't got the camera, you just want your voice to come in, just use that. That should be pinned up there. Well done, Julia. What a brilliant woman you are. Great suggestion. Eastbourne Couple says it's ridiculous, isn't it? It certainly is. Why don't you come on, Eastbourne Couple? It'd be lovely to have a chat to you. Michael White, Audrey Hulson, Andrew Hulson, I beg your pardon, I didn't mean to call you Audrey there. Lots of yes, it is. I don't believe a word Megan said, says Red Moon Conjure. She and her mum have a voodoo doll of what's-its-face in a jar of grave dirt somewhere. I don't know how true that is, and I can't vouch for anything any of my lovely viewers say, of course. It may all be make-believe, but it's all good fun. Just emailed you the Scotland free speech news item, says Sean James. Thanks. Let me grab my email and we can have a look at that. Is anybody living in Scotland watching this? That would be interesting to know. Are you in Scotland viewing the Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi? And do you know anything about this yourself? Here we go. This is from the BBC News site. Let's put the pictures up for a second. And it says, MSPs approve Scotland's controversial hate crime law. The legislation consolidates existing law and extends protection for vulnerable, I can't say, what's the matter with me? Put my teeth in. Vulnerable groups with a new offence of stirring up hatred. It's interesting what they put under stirring up hatred. It was passed by 82 votes, not verts, to 32, a day later than expected. Opponents of the bill said they still have concerns about a possible chilling of free speech. And that is would be the thing. And here's a link that says, why is the bill so controversial? The answer is, what is a hate crime? A hate crime is a criminal offence that is based on prejudice against a specific group of people. For example, attacking someone because of their religion or the colour of their skin. Attacking is an interesting term because are you physically attacking them or just using words? And at what point do those words become attacks, I would like to know. Scotland already has various laws in place that offer additional protection to people from crimes based on their disability, race, religion, sexual orientation and transgender identity. It means that crimes can be treated more seriously by the courts if the offender has shown malice and ill will towards the victim based on their membership or association of one of the protective groups. So, but how do you prove that somebody has malice or ill will? That is what I would like to know. Would anybody like to join me in the just trying to get back into the control room? Would anyone like to join me and be part of the show and have a chat with us? There's no point in me sitting here. That's the impromptu show is on the basis that we have a chat. Thanks to Ed Loud and Sean James Cameron, who said we don't get enough women chatting on this show. So why not put yourself into the thing. The ping is on the top there, the link to ping in. Richard would have to wear a knitted string vest up in Scotland, would I? Yeah, I don't know that I would be very warm in a knitted string vest. This is his GB News audition tape. What's happened to Richard? You have become very political tonight, says Andrew Hulson. Tonight is just a phone-in night. It's not the regular show. It's an impromptu show to have a conversation about whatever you want to have a conversation with. You've obviously got to be in touch with me to have a conversation, so I'm just going through news items in order to elicit that conversation. The normal service will be produced. I was, just for those people who've tuned in, I was sitting around not doing very much, and I'd been reading today, and I'd had enough of reading, and I'd done a whole load of chores. I'd cleaned the van, I'd cleaned out the Essie, I'd mopped the floors, I'd done my washing, washed the sheets. They're all now nice and dry. I haven't ironed them. They'll be going on my bed a little bit later on. Ed Loud says, I'm trying to get a lady to call, but she won't. I will not give up. Can you imagine the Scots after a few drams, says Michael White. So that's that. And I think everyone sees enough of me, says the lovely Julia. We're always happy to have the lovely Julia on. Richard always speaks his mind, says John B. I think you have to speak your mind, don't you? You can't speak somebody else's mind, and there's no point saying lies. But I think people do respect you if you are honest with them and say, but this is my point of view. You may not agree with it. Nobody says that you will. Here we do have a phone call. Let's find out who this is. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Evening, Richard. It's Jeff here.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
All right, mate. A bit frightened. I thought it was Monday.
It's not Monday. No, it comes around very quick. Don't panic, because the weekend is still here. You've got all of tomorrow to prepare yourself for Monday.
Oh, okay. And I was sitting here eating my kebab, and you're talking about people that eat rubbish. And I thought, here we go.
Here we go. I'm picking on you. Is it a kebab that you made yourself, or is it one that you had rushed round to you?
No, it was brought in for me.
Was it?
Yeah.
How much do you pay for a kebab?
I don't know. The wife does the account.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. I don't do that. I go and earn it. She spends it.
Well, that sounds fair. I'm sure that she would say that. So tell me what you get, because I have never, maybe that is a strong word, never. I can't remember if I ever have, put it like that, had a takeaway delivered. I have been to takeaways in the long distance past, but it's such a rare thing. The normal things, if I go out to eat, would be fish and chips.
Really, Richard?
I know. I'm a sad old person.
I remember one year I got stopped at a customs at Dover or something.
Yeah.
Pulled over in one side. I had the kids and the wife in the car, and I had my mobile phone. I'd rung up for a pizza to be delivered.
Did you?
And the customs man couldn't believe that. I said, well, you said he was going to be about an hour and a half.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I'm hungry.
Yeah, but he said he was looking for drugs or whatever, Richard. I don't know what he was looking for.
Was he? Did you share some of your pizza with him?
No, he told me to get in the car and go.
Oh, is it? And so what? So then you said, well, I can't go because I've just ordered a sodding pizza.
I did. I had to wait outside till it turned up.
That'll teach you, wouldn't it?
I know.
But it's a good ruse, isn't it? It's a good ruse. So, well, if I'm going to be an hour, I'll order something.
That's right.
Oh, well, off you go then, mate.
Do your job, mate. I'm not worried.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant.
That was funny. So, what is it? Was you bored at home? Was you, Richard, tonight?
Yes, I was. Do you know? I was just sitting there, and I'd eaten my dinner. I tell you what I had. You had a nice kebab, and I had leftovers from yesterday. I'd made myself a cauliflower cheese, and I had half of it left in a thing. And my cauliflower cheese consists of cauliflower.
Yeah, you don't have to go too deep into that, Richard. Yeah, you're right.
And
you're
cheese. Yeah. But I also put some onion in there.
Right.
And there's something else I put in there, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is. But then I added, tonight, to add a little spice to it, I had some diced carrots, which was a proper full-grown carrot at one point, but I chopped it up and boiled the living hell out of it, and some peas.
Yeah, me and you have got to go have another fry-up, mate.
What, fry-up?
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I had a fry-up.
Oh, dear me.
I know, but which is a bit odd. Well, it looks like we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nice to be back. The powers that be upstairs, or was it Eric down there, decided we'll just cut this bloke off for a little short duration. But I think we're now back and up and running. So welcome aboard. Had a lovely conversation with Jeffrey, but he had to go because his kebab was getting cold. So there you are. So that was an interesting moment of hilarity. Thank you for the welcome back messages. Thank you for holding on. And half the audience vanished and has yet to resume, but not to worry. Slowly building back up. It's all good fun. It's what it's all about, really, isn't it? What I should have done is taken that opportunity to go and make myself a cup of tea, which I didn't. But there we are. Chewing through the wire again, says Eastbourne couple. The Revenge of Eric. Yes, it's something like that. G Ramps says, welcome back. Thank you very much, everybody. It's nice to be back, in actual fact. So if anybody fancies giving us a call, we'll progress from where we are. Stay strong, says John B. Sean says, just seen it on the news. No men can walk after 9 p.m. It stopped at 9 p.m. What, no men can talk? Oh, yes. No one's allowed. Has it gone 9 o'clock? Was that the curfew? You're not allowed to be gabbling on the internet after 9. Did a woman zip in and it couldn't cope, says Sean James Cameron. Alas, let's just see if anybody has actually come into the green room. No, nobody's in the green room. Please do come along and join me. We'll see how long we can go for, but we won't go forever. Obviously, I'm a very busy man with lots of other things I could potentially do. He lies glibly through his teeth, which is why I'm here on a Saturday evening. But then, you can't go anywhere, can you? You can't go down the pub. You can't go skating. What are you going to do? Hello to the caller who's calling in.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Alexandra.
Hello, Alexandra. Lovely to hear from you.
Hi there. I just wanted to talk about my interest in walking and eating healthily.
Yes, please do.
So the last few years, I've lost quite a bit of weight, just over 4 stone.
Wow. In a year.
Well, I lost it in between 2018 to 2019, but I've maintained it the last couple of years.
Right. Oh, well, that's really good, isn't it?
I found through walking and just having a better diet and cutting down on my portion sizes has really helped.
Yes, I think the portion sizes is something. I mean, I used to do that, and then I let it drift a bit, and then I started to think, hang on, I'm just piling stuff on the plate.
I mean, now that I've lost the weight, I tend to do about 2 to 4 hours of walking most days. So
2 to 4 hours of walking.
Yes, so now I tend to have to eat a lot, but majority of the time it's a lot of good stuff, like lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, like some nuts, some pasta, a little bit of bread. But I do have one day a week where I treat myself and I have some junk food because you need something to balance it out.
Where are you based, Alexandra?
I live in South London, Southwest London.
So you do. So I said 4 to 5. I mean, that's quite a commitment, isn't it, to walking every day?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's okay because of the lockdown and everything that's happened. There's time for it, but probably in the future when I get a full-time job, there might not be as much time, but at least try to make some time for the walking.
Right. And do you vary where you go?
I mean, I have my favourite sort of 4 to 5 different routes that I enjoy doing. So I mainly stick to the same routes, but sometimes I decide to explore a bit.
Fantastic. And so can I ask you that, I mean, you lost 4 stone. Can I ask, so how, was there a time when you didn't have that before? So you put the weight on and then you lost it?
I was reasonably slim when I was younger, and then I think I started putting the weight on when I was about 20.
Right.
And then from the ages of about 20 to 24, I was pretty much just like eating rubbish and not really exercising much. And then just one day I just decided, oh, I don't feel too great. Let me just try and like go on a diet. So I just thought I'll have my one last like junk day. I'll eat kebab. And then after that day, I literally just stuck to the diet for about like 10, 11 months and lost all that weight.
That's amazing. So you must feel so much better, healthier.
Yeah, in terms of physical health, definitely, and even a bit in terms of like mental health, because when I used to like have struggles with my mental health and, you know, feel down and stuff, now I know like if I just force myself to get up and go for a walk, the fresh air like makes me feel much more refreshed and like better. My mindset improves.
Wow. And so it was just quite easy for that. Would you, if you were to recommend this to, I mean, as I'm sure you would, because, you know, you'd sound like you love it. The fact that you can not eat so much and have so much energy as well and go for walking for these lengths of time. What would be your advice to people who are thinking, I'd like to lose a bit of weight? What would be your advice?
I mean, my advice would be at first to just start off with the food side of things. So that's basically what I did. The first month or two, I concentrated on the food side of things, reducing my portions, like reducing the amount of cheese and stuff that I ate, and then gradually moving into exercise. But of course, I didn't go straight into doing the 2 to 4 hours a day. I started off doing about a 30, 40-minute walk and gradually built it up. So to just gradually build stuff up until, you know, you get to the stage where you feel fit enough to do as much as you possibly can.
So, and is this sort of, what kind of speed are you walking?
I mean, I personally think that I just walk a normal speed, but I've been told by other people that I walk just as fast as like Google time or maybe even faster at some stages.
That Google time?
Yeah, I've been told I walk about maybe like 3.5, like 4 miles per hour sort of speed. Like,
oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Just not heard of the term Google time. I've not heard of that. I don't know what that was. But yes, so the average I think was about 3 miles an hour, unless you're just shuffling along. So 4 miles is above average, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even say myself, but I've been told by other people that I walk at least like 3.5, 4 miles per hour. So yeah. I'm guessing maybe other people estimate a bit better than myself.
So if you're doing that, you're probably walking between 10 and 16 miles, depending on what day it is that you're doing a day?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, most of the time I think it's between 10 to 20, but 20 is like a really good day, like when I've been walking like for a lot of time. But yeah, roughly at least 10 miles a day.
My goodness. And do you get through your footwear fairly quickly?
I mean, I've tried to take care of them, but I have brought myself a few extra pairs of trainers just to try and, you know, keep them to make sure I've got plenty to do stuff in. And I've sort of got like a pair which is just for like going out to nice places, and then the other pairs are sort of for walking based stuff.
Gosh, and so you must get really hungry when you finish your walk.
Yeah, I mean, before I don't think I was eating quite enough when I started doing more of the walking, but lately I've been trying to eat more. So I try to have like a sort of bigger breakfast before I leave if I'm going on like an early morning or early afternoon walk. And then when I get back, I tend to have my lunch, and then I have quite a few snacks through the daytime, and then my dinner.
Yeah, so you're not putting on the weight. So just, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people think that walking isn't enough to make you lose weight. But there you are, having lost 4 stone over a year's period, and just using walking as that means to do it. You're not having to run and break into a sweat and all of that. You can just walk in ordinary clothes.
I mean, even in the past, when I haven't done the walking and I've used the gym, I haven't really done like extreme exercises like what other people would do. I've just done literally walking on the treadmill, like light exercises, even when I did, have a gym membership. But I found that walking is probably much better and much cheaper.
Yeah, it's certainly cheaper, isn't it? And you can imagine that back in the old days, and I'm talking like sort of prehistory days of the Neolithic people, when people were walking around and didn't have any sort of forms of transport as such, they must have, they were walking around in all sorts of terrain and they just got on with it. And so they must have been really thin, but very healthy. And we've allowed ourselves with this sedentary lifestyle just to put on more and more weight, which can't be good for us.
I mean, I get told by people all the time, why are you going walking? Like, it's the winter, it's freezing. I said, that's not a problem. I said, you just wrap up really warm.
Yeah.
I said, put however many layers you want, 5, 6, 7. I was like, it shouldn't affect you, the weather. Just go out all times of year.
And do you get colds and, sneezes? Do you get that sort of things? Or do you find that since you've been doing the walking, you just feel much healthier and you're not susceptible to all sorts of sniffles and things?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot more prone than I was before, because originally before I started eating healthily and exercising, I had this illness. It was like a really, really bad cold, but I had it on and for about six months. And then as soon as I started eating healthily, within the month, I completely shifted that. And since then, I've not really had any serious illnesses or anything. Occasionally I've had a little feeling, maybe I've got a little sniffle or something, but then within the space of about a day or two, it's gone. So I think that I'm pretty immune to a lot of stuff now.
What an amazing thing. And do you ever get days when you are lethargic and you just really can't, as if your cycle has come round and said, you know what, today's the day I'm not going to do anything, but then the next day you're full of it again?
I mean, occasionally. I mean, I'd say in the last 2 years, there's probably only been about 3 or 4 days where I've actually taken a break from walking. Or even if I've said it's my rest day, I've still gone for a half an hour, 45-minute walk.
Right, yeah. So do you think this is like an addiction? Are you addicted to it? If you didn't do the walking for a couple of days in a week, would you feel jittery?
I mean, I guess I feel a bit odd, if I'm not out walking, I like the fresh air and I think it's good, for my mental health. So I have felt strange before, not walking.
Gosh, well, that's amazing. Sean James Cameron says, what's a typical day of eating for you? What would you eat typically?
Typically, maybe something like a big bowl of porridge or some Weetabix for breakfast with some fruit and nuts. And then lunchtime, I tend to have my big meal. So something maybe a healthier alternative to a stew with a little, not much salt in, and a curry or something like that. And then maybe some soup in the evening or a sandwich, and then just lots and lots of fruit.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I was just reading on the comments here. John B says, I'm feeling inspired now. I think you have inspired people because it's so simple, just walking. It's such a simple, and often people are looking for things which are more complicated. And actually, a lot of the things that are good for you are just so simple. Sunlight, moving about, eating less, the simple things.
But the thing is, you have to want to do it for yourself, because I've heard people say to me, can you, help me out, do a food plan with me, a meal plan, and help me, get into exercise and stuff. But I'm saying, because a lot of these people say they want to do it for other people, but I say you can't do it for your partner, you can't do it for your children or your mum or whoever else. It's got to mainly be for yourself.
Yes.
Of course, people can motivate you and inspire you, but mainly it's got to be for yourself, because it's yourself who it's affecting at the end of the day.
Yes, you can't say, well, I'll just go and do a 16-mile hike on your behalf, and you'll feel so much better when I come back through the door, eating your chocolate bars and drinking your sugary drinks and things, clearly. That is so interesting. Thank you so much for calling in, Alexandra.
That's okay.
I think you've.
Thank you for having me.
No, not at all. Do call again. I think you've inspired people. I mean, it's just that fact that it's so simple, isn't it? You just put one foot in front of another and repeat and keep going. You don't need any fancy stuff. And, you know, as you said, you feel healthier. You're out in the outdoors. You've got to be relatively well motivated to get yourself off your backside to do it. But like most things, it becomes habit forming, and you just, as you said, you know, you just feel a bit jittery if you don't do it. So it becomes a way of life, presumably.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. How lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Yeah, we'll do. Bye-bye for now. There we go. How about that? Walking for your health and losing 4 pounds. 4 stone, not just 4 pounds. Absolutely incredible. And, you know, when you think about our ancestors, you know, who'd been around for thousands of years. I mean, sometimes I think, you know, you often forget that our ancestors, the Neolithics and the Bronze Age, you know, even the Saxons have been around for a longer period than our recent history in the last 100 years, who were incredibly, well, must have been very fit. I mean, okay, they may not have had the same longevity because they didn't have the various improvements in medicines that we have, and they didn't have clean water, although they may have had it a lot cleaner than often we have in some occasions. But, you know, they didn't go to a gym and well, we don't know that, I suppose, is the argument. We don't know that they didn't do some sort of exercises, but we know that we would have, you know, they didn't have weights. They may have lifted up stones, but just living in the old-fashioned way would have kept them in good stick. Otherwise, how come humans would have continued all this time? Kerry Baldwin says that walking is quite addictive. I've kept mine up through shielding by walking 2 miles a day round the house. If I don't do it, I get withdrawal symptoms. I don't know. Now, this is interesting, Kerry. I find this bizarre, as I found with Captain Tom, who was doing his walkings. I need the stimulus, just as I imagine Alexandra there probably did, of going at least away from the house and moving around the landscape rather than just, you know, going around the house. Because I think I would go doolally if I was just walking, you know, I mean, presumably you're talking about physically round the boundaries of your house for what did you say, for 2 hours or 2 miles around the house? I don't know how you do that, but well done if you do. Daniel Watkins says, I'm going for a walk now. No, you can't. It's after 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, you're not allowed out. How much is a stone, says Penny Tyndall. How much is a stone? Eastbourne couple says £14. So quite cheap. But I think there are some places you can get a discount. You can get it at $12.99, I think, online if you order early in the morning. Thank you. I've always wanted to know that. Ed Loud says, I knew you'd like a call from Alex. She loves a walk as much as you do. Well, the thing is, she's walking far more than I ever do. I mean, I'm always walking in order to make videos. So I'm not walking constantly because I'm having to stop every now and again to hoik the camera up. And, of course, I'm a bit of a fair weather walker because I don't like filming. I want my films to come out as nicely as possible. And I hate the wind and I hate the rain on the camera. So I tend not to do it then. But when I was not filming my walks years ago, I would go out. It didn't matter what the weather was like. As somebody else said, you know, you can. It's not the weather that's the problem; it's what you wear. And I think that's very true. It's not so much the weather. And I would go out in all sorts of weather; it didn't bother me. But when I'm filming and I'm trying to make a film, the whole mindset is somewhat different because I'm making a film about walking. I'm not walking while filming myself, if you see what I mean. But I think we all could learn something from Alexandra there. I mean, you've got to have the time, of course. That's quite a big commitment, isn't it? Up to 4 hours a day. But, you know, what else are you going to do on that time? Especially as we get into the summer and the spring and the summer, we've got longer evenings. That would be nice. provided that no green baroness decides to stop certain members of the population from going outside. John B says, I need to be back by 6 if I do a walk. Yes, that's true. Kerry says, needs must round the downstairs, up the stairs and round and round. Boring, I know, but I had to keep going so that one could get out. I had to keep going so that when I get out, off I go. Brilliant. Yes. Well done. And she says, I'm shy. I'm sure you're not really shy. Give us a call. 07934746749. No, it's just a conversation with you and me. We'll see how much longer we'll run. Does anybody else want to join me on the thing? Click the link up there. You just need a phone or whatever device you're watching on the internet. As long as you've got a camera or a microphone, it doesn't really matter. And it's free. Won't cost you a penny, and everybody will see you. Exercise releases endorphins, says Andrew Hulson. Absolutely right. I do feel bad. I feel bad that I'm not walking enough. Now, having spoken to Alexandra, I don't know whether everybody else feels they're not doing enough. I mean, I certainly don't like to sit still for any length of time, apart from when I'm doing the Vobes show. Sean James Cameron says, did your weight disappear once you stopped the medication, or did you have to work it off? You're talking about now, for those people who may not know, when I went through the eye problem, I was on steroids and I blew up like a balloon. And every now and again I come across videos that I've made when I was blown up as a balloon, and I catch myself because I don't recognize myself. But actually I was still walking and I was still doing things. I was still active. It's just the medication, it blows you up because it's water underneath the skin, and it cushions all your organs. And it's amazing what it does, but it's just hideous to look at, and it makes you feel rather horrible as well. And I didn't have to work it off. No, when I stopped, you have to incrementally come off steroids. Well, certainly this particular one, prednisolone or whatever it was called. It's a horrible thing. But I was on something like 120 milligrams instead of, some people are only on like 10 or something, whereas I was on 120 for about 6 months. And you put on the weight, you don't notice it. Your great big thing, you look in the mirror and you think, oh, I look a bit pudgy. And now when I look, I think not only did I look a bit pudgy, I was a Michelin man, no question about it. And my clothes size went up. But as you drop down off this stuff, you do lose the weight. So I didn't have to do anything to lose it. It's just it no longer, you didn't retain the water. But I didn't have any stretch marks or anything like that because you do it over a shorter period of time. I wouldn't know what to say, says Daniel. Well, we're just having a conversation. You don't need to know what to say. We have a conversation. I'll ask you questions and we'll just have a conversation. Don't feel shy and have to have anything on your mind. This is the great thing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to sort of try and elicit conversation. I don't know whether I'm any good at it or not, but it can be quite fun. You need somebody who can just sort of, chivvy us, help it along. I'm not expecting you to be a raconteur and come up with funny lines. It's not like that at all. Michael White says we get enough of steroids from the meat that we eat and the antibiotics. Yes, I'm sure that's true. I've actually reduced the amount of meat that I eat since last year. I'm not a vegetarian, so tomorrow I'm actually having a steak, a very small steak. But I'm trying now to go back, if you like, to what it was like perhaps in the 1940s and 30s when people would use meat as a garnish rather than the main dish. So meat is my treat, and as I said, yesterday was cauliflower cheese, and I had, because I'm on my own, I make a portion that's too big for me, so I'll have it over 2 days, which is great. Sometimes I'll have spaghetti and tomatoes with a bit of cheese in there. Sometimes I'll have a tuna bake, which is nice. And sometimes I do quite a lot of just vegetable broth, chopped up vegetables, depending on what's in. Admittedly, I do get these from the supermarket because of time restrictions. I'd much rather be going to a local farmstead. But then every now and again, I will get myself perhaps some mince, and I'll make myself a chili con carne. And again, I'll have that over 2 days because I'll make enough to do 2 days. Or I'll, as in this case, sometimes I do a vegetable broth, and then I might just spice it up one day with a little number of beef cubes. I've stopped buying pork from supermarkets. Won't do it now. Won't have pork. And chicken, very rarely. Very rarely. Having spoken to Patrick Holden last year, when I went over to see him in Wales and interview him, he was telling me, I mean, I kind of knew stuff about what goes on at the abattoirs and the way animals are fed. I went into Tesco's today. I helped the lovely Julia out earlier today because she needed to go shopping. And I said, look, and her hubby was at work. And I said, well, I'll pick you up in the van. And she's got little Joe. So we took little Joe and we went to Tesco's because it was nearer her. And I said, well, just, got me out, got me to do things. If I'm not working, I start getting a bit bored. And I'd done some reading and various other things, which is why I'm doing the show tonight. But anyway, I thought, she needed to go shopping. I said, well, I'll come over and we'll go. So we went into Tesco's. And it's huge. This particular Tesco's at Shoreham is a huge one. And, I'm picking Tesco's because that's where we went, but it could have been Sainsbury's or a big Morrison's and whatever. And I'm used to the shop that's near me, which is a reasonably sized Morrison's. But Tesco's was huge. And we went down there and I looked at the meat aisle and I was staggered. I was actually staggered because I very rarely go into big shops. Also, you had to queue to go in. We actually had to queue. I've not queued to go into a shop for the whole lockdown because I've just not gone and not joined the queue. But on this occasion, we'd gone there and there was a bit of a queue, so we had to wait and got in. And they had this traffic light system in. I just thought, what world are we living in where you need a traffic light system to go into a supermarket? But that's another story. And I looked at the aisle and I could see chicken after chicken after chicken, and then pork after bacon and all this stuff. And that and I just thought, bloody hell, how many animals are being grown and slaughtered so that most people can have meat with every meal. And So that was a reminder, but I've been doing this for a year. I read a fantastic book by the guy who Graham Harvey, used to be an advisor on The Archers on the BBC Radio 4 longest running soap opera, The Archers. And he wrote this book, which was We Want Real Food, I think it's called. And he talks about the terrible things that happen to the way that animals are farmed because we eat too much of them. So I've read all that, and I'm just waffling now. But so I've reduced my meat intake because I don't want to have all these antibiotics and all these steroids and all these horrible things. And now I'm only eating beef, and I eat very little of it, and the rest of it's vegetables. Prednis, I could never pronounce it, but that's it. Prednisolone. You need to start presenting this show while on the treadmill, says Sean. Yes, that's true. Those things are horrid. They certainly are. We get enough steroids, read that. Try not to overthink the calling in nerves, says the lovely Julia. Yeah, please don't worry about it because if you're a first-time caller, you heard how I was with Alexandra. I'm not going to question everything you do. And we're going to have a friendly conversation. I need to lose a few stone, by the way, says John B. Get out and do some walking. I lost a stone, but can't seem to lose any more, says Sean James Cameron. You need to do some more walking. Jeff, that's now the answer to it all. The Vobes weight loss walk. There we are. Michael White says, I lost my diet book. Don't need it. Just reduce your portions. I think that was another thing that Alexandra It was very, very wise. And I've noticed that often I'll have a big plate full of food and then I eat in that and I still don't feel like I've filled myself up. And in the past, I've then, gone and thought, well, I still feel hungry, so I better have something else. But actually, the secret is to, when you've had your portions of food, whatever it is even though you might still feel hungry, is to wait, have a drink, have a glass of water or a cup of tea or something, and wait. Say, all right, I'll have my pudding or I'll have something else in half an hour. But when that half an hour comes, actually, I find, I don't know whether this would work for you, but I find that, I'm not actually hungry. It's just something in me that was saying, no, keep feeding me whilst you can. Keep feeding me. But actually, when you get to the end of your portion, if you wait half an hour, you find that actually that hunger thing goes because the body is processing the food and going, thank goodness. I only eat between snacks, says Michael White. Floating our boat. Hello to you, Fran and Rich. Nice to see you. By the way, their latest video is out, Blown Away or something. I can't remember the exact title now off the top of my head. Well worth seeing. Very much enjoyed it, Fran and Rich. Eat slowly is the key, says John B. Reduce the size of your plates. That's a good idea. Kerry Baldwin says plates have got bigger over the decades. Yes. Boredom is the devil. Stay occupied and you don't feel so tempted to snack, says Mark Burgess. And I think you're absolutely right. I do try to keep myself busy, which is why today, I thought I'll do a Saturday show because what will I do? I'll probably sit down and watch some YouTube. And I'd been doing some reading. I love reading, but sometimes I just can't sit still to read. And I've been doing a bit of reading today. Always leave the table feeling slightly hungry, says John B. Well, there we are. It's just kind of what I was saying. That's brilliant. Meat was special event when I was a child, says Jen Colley, and that's absolutely true. We have great farmers market, beef, chicken, pork, locally grown veggies, says Penny Tyndall. Well, you're very lucky. I wish we did. How are we doing? Are we buffering or anything like that? Would anybody care to join me? That would be interesting. Scotland, news in Scotland and politics. Did I read that out? I'm just looking at my emails just in case somebody's emailed me anything. Would anybody care to join me live on the show? All you've got to do, we're going to end fairly shortly because it's 9:30, done an hour and a half. But if anybody wants me to keep going, I'm happy to do that. That would be good. No buffering this time. Fantastic. Oh, that's good. Michael White says the show has lost a few stone. Well, we have discussed a number of things, haven't we, over the course of an hour and a half, which has been an education in my book, which is very nice. No time to eat today as I had to mend the blown down fence, says G. Ramps. Well done for you for getting out there and the blown down fence. We've had wind here all day. James Cameron says we need a new nighttime show in bed with Vobes. It looks like we have Mark Donny McLeod, I think, if I recognise him. Let's add him to the scene and say hello. Good evening to you, Mark Donny McLeod. You need to turn your microphone on. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Lovely to see you.
How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, well, okay. I know what's going on here. It's all right. I've sorted it now.
Excellent.
I had to turn the page off, the video.
Yes,
so,
probably yes. I didn't mention that. Sorry about that. You forget so easily.
Yeah.
But otherwise, did you find it easy to zap yourself into the show?
Yeah, I kind of use this regularly with work as well, because talking to I work from home, I have been up until this week. I've been changing jobs, so. But been doing with the expansion of getting the vaccines out. So Yeah, so I'm used to using Zoom normally
Yes.
to talk to my bosses, etc.
Yes.
So yeah, on this thing about walking, right, every day, my thing is I get up at 6. I go out for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
I come home. I then have breakfast and a brew.
Got to have that brew.
Oh, aye. Then I do about 6 to 8 hours work. It can be longer sometimes. We have refrigerated lorries going around the nation delivering vaccines, so we have to keep a firm eye on where they are and what they're doing, and that these deliveries are getting put out there. As I say, that's winding down because everybody's getting done. So a lot of places have got their supplies in now. So so the amount of work we're doing is getting less and less. So I'm going to be moving on to something else then, apparently. So because I've got the situation where I can work from home, I can choose. I can't choose like the hours really. It's a full time thing. But what I can do is I can move what I do around.
Yes.
So when I'm doing reports, so I don't have to really have reports in until weekend, but I can do my reports during the week and then send them all in on Friday. So it gives me lots of time to sort that out. I think we're looking. Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. We're all avidly listening. So that's, I mean, I think that's the beauty of working from home. And of course, you haven't got to commute anywhere as well. So that's an extra bit of time, which you can do your walking in the morning.
That's right, because otherwise, like getting to Preston by 9 o'clock in the morning from here is, I don't drive. I'm not allowed to drive because of health reasons. So getting to Preston is a joke because there's only a little train service, and I'd have to go into Nelson to get it.
So how long would it take you? How long would it take you in the morning to get to Preston?
So it would take me about. Nelson is closest to me. Colne, which Colne is the end of the line. It doesn't go any further.
Yeah.
And that's only one an hour, that line. So it takes me about an hour to get into Nelson. And then when I get from Nelson, then it's 2 hours because this little train stops at every single stop.
Gosh.
All along the way.
So what you're saying,
Nelson,
if you had
to Preston, I mean, I'm glad I don't work in Blackpool, which is the other end of the line.
Oh my God, don't.
It would take forever.
So in other words, you're saying that if you had to commute, it would be 2.5 hours to get in there and 2.5 hours to get back. Yeah. That's 5 hours of travelling, which, of course, that means that you've got that 5 hours of extra time for you to do things like your walking.
Well, yeah, there's that. I mean, the way that I used to do it along upon a time when I was commuting to Manchester for work, what I used to do is I'd take my bicycle with me, get on the train, so cycle to the train station, get on the train with my bike,
right,
get off at, I'll get off at Rawtenstall, and then cycle to the other part of Manchester where I was going to, which was about 8 miles to where I was working.
Yeah, so cycle 8 miles.
And I would do that and then cycle back at night and then, get the thing. But the thing was, I felt so fit. I really got some fitness for a time. Long ago, it's like 8-9 years ago, since I packed in boozing and all that kind of, mad lifestyles. I was going around the country playing in gigs and stuff. And I packed all that thing in and cleaned my life up. And I've noticed that I can do far more. In the old days, I used to be knackered. One gig and was 45 minutes, and I was on the floor okay, get back. Oh my God! But now I can walk for miles. I can cycle for miles. I feel far better than I've ever been.
Yes.
I do eat meat. I eat white meat, so fish, chicken, that kind of stuff. I've given up red meat altogether. No red meat whatsoever. Right? So, but I've only just recently done that last couple of months. And this is the thing, right? You know when you feel pressurised by people? So I've got lots of friends who are vegans, vegetarians, etc., etc.
Yes.
And the more they pressurise me to try and get me to give up meat, the more I eat it just to upset them. Because I'm not having this thing of like being dictated to. So
No.
I thought, no, you're not getting away with it. I'm not having that. If I give this thing up, I do it with my own volition. You know,
Yes.
I do it because I want to do it, not because somebody's telling me. So
Yes.
when they backed off, is when I was, kind of said, like, somebody came round and he was like mooching around the kitchen and he says, hang on, there's no meat in here. I said, no, I don't eat meat anymore. I don't red meat. I don't eat red meat anymore. He said, when's that? I said, since you lot stopped nagging me. See, that's the way it works. You know, I'm a rebellious person. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go out of my way to do it just to spite you. You know, because
absolutely.
That's what free will is about. Is having the free will to do and live as you are. You know, within certain guides, of course. You know,
of course.
One of the things I used to like was, I'm a big sort of like lad kind of thing. Once a year, I used to play with a samba band, and once a year we used to do Pride in Manchester.
All right.
At Liverpool. And I used to love it, get dressed up with the big hair thing and all that business, and it was lovely. Not because, I was into doing all that. No, what I did it for was just to break people's idea that because you're a male, you can't, have a bit of fun and dress up in pink and purple and stuff. And the whole thing was just to annoy them, really, because I knew they would kick off about, I thought he was a big butch male and stuff. And I was thinking, like, well, there's no such thing, mate. And the problem for you with that attitude is what you're doing is you're saying that you haven't grown up. You haven't evolved.
Yes.
You're still dragging your knuckles on the carpet. So, now and again you have to stand up, bring your arms off the floor, use a bit of the old common sense, use the brain, and come out of it and think, there is more out there. There are other people. And because of doing these events, I've got lots of friends now that I never had.
Yes, of course.
People from gay, trans, bi, whatever communities that I would never have met, and they're so much fun. And they celebrate the point that they're different. And they celebrate the point that they're happy with who they are. And that's what I think is brilliant. Having played for years when I was younger in a reggae band. No, it wasn't a triangle at the back going ding. It was, I was playing bass or something at the time. And what I liked about it was our band was multiracial. So we were playing reggae. We had a black guy, an Asian guy, a guy who was like part Chinese, part Scottish or something, and me, a Celtic misfit. So the good thing about it was a multicultural thing, playing black music, which eventually, it was. But ska isn't. It may have started out in Jamaica, but it took off in the UK. And what I love about it is draws everybody. It's happy music.
Yes.
Let's all have a laugh. The world is full of nasty people and nasty things.
Very true.
The chance to get away from that, have a little boogie, have a dance, have a laugh, happy together is very rare. So make the most of it, and that's the thing.
And it's so, it's so good for you. Those endorphins that are going through, the laughing, the joviality, the laughter lines rather than frown lines, and all of that. It's so good for your health to have a good laugh. And
the thing. Sorry,
go on. No, it's all right.
I was saying, and the good thing is that since I've changed my lifestyle and all that, and I've got past all that now, I've got back to the point now, I can go back to playing music now. So I've gone back to, I've joined a little jazz band, and I still play. You know, when Boris lets us free, we go back to playing samba through the streets, and I love it. You know, it's just great fun. And what I like is the chance to spread a bit of happiness. You know, to see people smile, to see people dancing along and having a boogie. And that's the good thing, because in this day and age, everything's. One of the reasons why I got rid of my TV, right? One is, you know, I didn't like it what they were putting on the TV. I found the level of media that was going out was getting lower and lower and lower.
More depressing.
It was kowtowing to, yeah, it was like depressing, or they talked to you like you were a 3-year-old, you know, or they were lying to you. And then there's the point of money going to an organisation who not only encouraged, that hid 3 paedophiles for over 20 years. And I'm saying to myself, if I pay my licence, I'm giving money to these people.
That's true. That's true.
I'm financing these people who took part in the closing, the allowance of an abusive person, more than one.
Yes, I think you did find. I think you find in your TV license, in the very, very small print, it does say that you are actually funding these people. You know, you have to see it. It is actually.
Well, you know, it's going. So it was all that, and plus I realised, why are you sitting in front of this box? You're not living. You're not doing anything.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's one of the reasons I wanted to get rid of my television, is that you get sucked in. I remember my kids used to sit and watch the television. I would come in, and they're sitting there, and I would come into the room to get something or whatever, and then I found myself not leaving the room because I was drawn into whatever rubbish it was that they were, and I knew it was rubbish. And then I would go, snap out of it and carry on and do whatever it was I used to do. I hope that the social media is a bit like that, of course, and of course I'm making content. There's this.
If you allow it to be.
That's true. But the thing is, I have that juxtaposition where I'm making content because I want people to sit and watch my stuff so I can earn a living because I love doing it. But at the same time, there's that guilt trip that you actually want people more like Alexandra to get out there and not watch the Vobes show, but actually go and do the exercise. So
it's compartmentalizing your time.
Yes.
It's time management, right?
Yes.
One of my things is one of my things in my work is time management. You know, is making sure that you do certain jobs within a certain time period to get them done. And I find the better your time management, the more time you end up with.
Well, they always say, don't they, give a busy person a job to do and he'll get it done. Give somebody who has all the time in the world and it'll never get done.
Yeah, because your mind is set to thinking things out in a set pattern. My mind is set up to thinking. And it's kind of like somebody doesn't understand. When I say to them, oh, I'm quite lazy. And they say, well, knowing you, Mark, and all the things you do, lazy isn't the word that will come to mind.
Yes.
And I said, well, I am really, because what I'm doing is my management thing of time, of my day, is to give myself time.
To do the things you want to do.
To do the things I want to do. So if I want to sit down and think away at guitars or, you know, have a go at these while nobody's listening, I can get away with that because I've made myself that time.
You've moved us on to things.
I couldn't do that.
No. You've moved us on to things where people do put things off, don't they? They put things off to tomorrow. I can do that later. I can do it tomorrow. Yep. And I remember reading some my self-help books many, many years ago, which did actually help me, because they said, do those things that you don't want to do. The things that the least favourite things, do them first.
Get them done first, yeah.
Because you don't have to, because if you don't do them first, you're always thinking, oh, I've got to go and clean the van, or I've got to sweep out the Essie, or I've got to go and, clean the toilet, whatever it is. It's hanging over you for the rest of the day. But if you get it done first of all the tasks,
get it out of the way.
Then, you've got rid of all the nasty tasks. Everything else is a good task to look forward to. People don't seem to know that.
Get it out of the way. Get those nasty things away.
Yeah. it's
But I was saying in the comments about when you're going walking
yes,
with weather,
yeah,
wear lots of layers. This is merino wool, right? And the thing about merino wool is it can get wet, but you won't get wet. It sheds water really well. And if you've got a few layers of them, t-shirts, vests, whatever, a jacket, and then a waterproof, heavy waterproof jacket on top, it doesn't have to be thick. Just be thin, because lots of thin layers
traps the heat.
Traps, the heat. And if you put too much on, too thick a layer, you will overheat. And
Yes.
that's worse in the other way. Because then what happens is you start stripping off, and then you get cold. Because you got sweaty and the weather's cold, you will now start to get cold, and your body's wet, and that sweat is wet, you will get cold. Whereas wearing this stuff gets rid of, it traps the heat. It's only thin,
Yes.
and you can wear several layers of it. If you get too hot, take a layer off.
Yes, exactly.
Carry on walking, take a rucksack with you, take a layer off, put it in your bag. If you get to a point whereby you start to feel cold again, put that layer back on again. And it's just like, that system is far better. When you're eating before you go out, I'm thinking of the time, looking at the time. When you go out, don't eat big meals before you go out. In fact, if anything, just have a brew, then go out and eat when you come back. Or what I do is I have a little flask, right? And it's a fat food flask, and I put porridge in it. So I cook hot porridge, and I put the hot porridge in there, and I make it Scots version, just salt, no sugar or milk. And I just have that in there, and I take that with me in my rucksack.
It's funny you should say that, because I have porridge and I don't have any. I put milk, but nothing else. I used to use golden syrup for years and years and years, and then I was on this. I realised how much sugar I was eating, and I was like, I'm going to stop the sugar. And now it's amazing. You think, oh, I'm never going to get used to this taste. Lovely. It's absolutely just porridge. I mean, I don't even put salt on it.
Is that I've still got a bit of weight on me, but I have gone down from November last year to now.
Yes.
Well, October, November last year to now, I was in a waist of 48.
Wow.
Now I'm in a waist of 38.
Gosh, well done.
So I'm trying to get that back down to like a 32, which is okay, reasonable for my age, etc. And height.
Nothing wrong with 32. I think I'm 32.
But you can go too far. You can go. It's like anything. It's moderation.
Yeah, don't go down
So
to
if you're
24.
moderate in what you do, no. So if you're moderate in what you do and how you behave, it's good for your life.
Yes.
And I look at somebody was going on to me about we're talking about bicycles, and he was talking about this brand new carbon bike, very nice, got all the thing, £9,500. What's it for a bicycle? I could buy a second-hand Rolls Royce for that. and I said to him, there's something missing here. And I showed him a picture of a guy in China who's got a rickety old steel bike and half his house on the back of it. It was about like 7 foot up in the air above the bike. All this stuff he was carrying.
I bet he was fit. I bet he was fit.
Oh yeah, it was like more meat than a butcher's pencil. But
I know. The sports fashion though, they teach you to do all these sort of things. It's just over the top.
It's not about your health. It's about them making money.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, we're going to have to end it because I don't want to go over 10 o'clock. I've clogged up people's lives.
No. Thanks for putting up with me.
No, it's been fascinating. Thank you very much, Mark Donny McLeod. There we are, all the way from up there in Lancashire, and it's been lovely to chat to him. So there we are. That's Mark Donny McLeod in Lancashire. Thank you for pinging in. Brilliant stuff, fascinating, very inspiring. As I think John B said, we've had some inspiring calls today, and I'm glad we did the show. It was just an impromptu thing, and no doubt you're all going to go out walking tomorrow, no matter what the weather is. I'll probably do that myself. More walking, more moving, less food, eat better the food. We're all going to get through it, and away we go. Piece of cake. So there we go. Let's just have a quick look at the comments before we disappear. Red Moon says, I'm going to go out and put some chips on. That's not what we were trying to say. Threw my telly out years ago, says John B. Audrey Forbes says, I saw a snippet of a programme the other day where a woman picked a man from a lineup of genitals. Or did I just dream it? That's a curious dream if you did. Are there no depths that someone will sink to for their 15 minutes of fame? I'm not quite sure what that refers to, Audrey. MDM has done very well. There we are, 10 centimetres or 10 inches. Is it inches? I suppose it is. Jeffrey Harrison says, don't forget to tell people what we talked about, Richard. How to make £1 million. Hope they all listened. Yes, £1 million. I don't know how we... what we talked about. Yes, of course. We had a private conversation when the internet went down and, we learnt how to make £1 million. Sorry we didn't share that. John B says, sugar is the number one enemy these days with the rise in diabetes. Absolutely. And I'm trying to encourage as many people to reduce their sugar intake as possible purely for their own benefit, not mine. John says, thanks very much for the impromptu show. Jen is off to bed. Night all. Daniel Watkins says, thanks very much. That's my pleasure. Ed Loud says, can you introduce my dear Alex to Eric, please? Yes, I'd have to wake him up. Eric, are you still awake?
That's right, I'm just awake now, sir.
That's marvellous. I'm glad you are. Could you say hello to Alexandra?
Yeah, of course. I'll say Alexandra. Hello, Alexandra. It's Eric here.
Eric down there in the basement. You can go back to Snoozeland now, Eric.
Righto, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fast asleep so quickly. Smaller plate sizes is what we've learnt tonight. Thank you very much. Mark Burgess says, Strange Addiction, Channel 4. Don't know what that is about. Jeff says, thanks for the show. There we go. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. It's something impromptu. I won't be doing this necessarily every Saturday, but maybe we'll make just the phone in and the talk type different to the videos and the art and all that, what we do in the week. But I'm going to go and rest my gob now because I've been talking too much. Thank you all very much for tuning in. It's been lovely to be here. Look after yourselves, and I will see you on Monday. Take care and all the best. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.